Your friends think you have skill, but we both know the truth. You were just a little boy who got lucky, but 3 years is a long time and I've grown stronger. Keep up the brave facade. Once I've dispatched you from this world, it and all your friends will be mine. And there's nothing you can do about it.
What's going on, guys? MariK here, back with another Dragon Ball Super deck profile. Over this past weekend, we finally got a chance to test out our boy Piccolo, and we finally got a chance to test him out in the competitive environment of a tournament, and he actually performed surprisingly well. He did well in playtesting, but he actually did so much better in an actual competitive format. And for our leader choice, we decided to go with the Piccolo Junior leader.
You should feel honored. I am your executioner.
He's got the generic, when this card attacks a leader, draw a card effect. And he's got the much better awaken ability of switching 2 energy to active mode. And then we've got Piccolo Jr. Evil Reborn.
You fool! Are you simply so moronic that you can't comprehend the impossible odds before you?
Now, this leader is probably one of the best awakened leaders we've ever gotten. Except he doesn't want to focus because my camera is a dick. There we go. So, when he attacks, draw a card, and once per turn, for 1 green energy, you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 5 or less and KO it. And then he gains 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. Honestly, half the time, I forgot about that 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. But that wasn't the important part. Just being able to go, hey, I'm going to use 1 energy and blow up one of your dudes is fantastic. I think out of the course of the day, I only had 1 card played by 1 opponent that he couldn't hit because it had a higher energy cost than 5. But we did main deck other ways to get around that card, so it worked out really well. I don't want to say that Piccolo Jr. is the better Piccolo leader than the Universe 7 Piccolo leader we got in set 4. But I think this one is a little more... He's a little more generic, and I think he works really well with the current format, since all you have to do is use 1 energy to blow up any battle card, you know, including cards with barrier. So I think this one performs outstandingly well. To start off with our Namekian Support, we ran our 1-drop Kind-Hearted Namekian Dende. When you play this card, look at up to 3 cards from the top of your deck and choose 1 Namekian and add it to your hand. I think 1 time out of the entirety of the day I missed with this effect, and I hit all extra cards. Other than that, you're never going to miss because the deck is full of Namekians, and I think about 75 to 80% of the time we actually hit our Saiyan super combo, which we're going to take that every time just because the ability to have your super combo whenever you need it is just too good. Next up, we ran 4 Power Barrier Piccolo. He's a 15,000 2-drop with Barrier. Mainly the only reason that you want to put him on the board is so that you have a battle card with Barrier to prevent himself from being KO'd by your opponent's effects, so you can get off your bond abilities. Most of the time, he would be the one that we get charged or that we would discard for Namek or put under Purina. The only time we ever really played him was if we had the extra energy, we had nothing to play, or if he was our only Namekian target that we hit with Planet Namek. Then we ran 4 Namekian Duo Purina. He is probably one of the best Namekian cards we have. He's a 2-drop 10k. And his activate main once per turn. Choose a Namekian from your hand to place it under this card, draw a card, and he gains 10,000 power and crit for the duration of the turn. So, a 20k crit for 2 energy is fantastic, especially when you can search it out via Planet Namek for 1 energy. And you get to draw a card after putting a Namekian under him, so you don't lose any card advantage. And if you happen to draw a higher cost card that you just can't play, or you have a Namekian that isn't going to serve you much purpose, like another Dende or something, or best case scenario, Power Barrier Piccolo, then you've got a pretty strong crit attacker, and especially early game, most of the time my opponents would just take the hit because it's not worth trying to out-combo early game just to protect that one life card. So it gives you really good momentum during the first couple turns. Then we ran 4 Nail the Namekian Ace. He's a 2-cost 10,000 with Bond 2. And when this card attacks, draw 1 card, and this card gains 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. So since his Bond is not Namekian specific, you can have any battle card on the board. However, because of the way our deck is built, we did always have a Namekian. I also never had a situation where I had Nail on the board and did not have another battle card to get the Bond ability to get the extra draw. Then we ran 4 Piccolo Jr. Driven to Fight. He's the Dash Pack Piccolo that we got with set 4. He's a 2-drop 10k with Barrier and Bond 2. However, his Bond does specify Namekian. When this card attacks, draw 1 card. So he doesn't get the boost that Nail does. But having Barrier, honestly, is a much better ability in my opinion. He can't do anything to awaken leaders without comboing. But still being able to get that draw regardless is just great. I think at one point I actually had 4 of these. I had all 4 of them on the board via either hard casting them or getting them out with planting Namek and getting 4 extra draws a turn. Whether you do damage or KO a battle card or not, just getting that extra card advantage is fantastic in a game that revolves around card advantage so much as it does this current meta. Up next, we run 2 Kami the Watcher.
And now the time has come for the 2 of us to unite as one.
I considered running more than 2, but since you only want to play him when you have his Bond ability active, I just felt like there wasn't as much need to have him. But he's a 3-cost 10k with Bond 2 Namekian. So you reduce the energy cost of him by your hand by 2. If you have 2 other Namekians, so he becomes a 1-drop, and when you play him, you get to draw a card. So he's a free attacker or free combo, and he lets you add more card advantage and thin your deck out a little more, which this deck does way too much of. And I think one game I actually got down to 7 cards in my deck, and honestly, had I not been able to win on the turn that I did, I may have decked out. Next up, we run the man himself, Commies Power Piccolo. This is honestly one of the best super rares we have. The SPR is so much prettier. But he's a 4-cost 20,000 with Barrier and Double Strike. And once per turn for Bond 2, you can choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. It has no energy restriction whatsoever. You just have to have him and another battle card on the board, which is not that hard, especially if you don't attack with him. Hell, just leave him in active mode. He's 20k, he's got Barrier. Sure, they can attack over it if they have a card that allows them to attack active battle cards, but you can just combo to get out of it. The card is severely underrated, or at the very least it was when the set first came out. There was a increase in value for the card. Maybe some people started to catch on that, hey, this is actually not a bad card. However, a lot of the games we didn't get to play it just because we had either used it for other abilities and didn't have it when we got to 4 energy, or because it was easier to just play a couple more little guys and just weenie rush the whole board. But a fantastic card nonetheless to get rid of bigger battle cards that your opponent has that you just need to get out of the way. Up next, we've got the boss of the deck, the man himself, King Piccolo, Lord of Terror. This card is so much better than I initially thought it was going to be. It is situational, no doubt, and drawing it early on, I'm either going to pitch it for Namek, charge it, whatever. But he's a 5-cost 25,000 with Double Strike, and he's got Bond 3 Namekian, which says reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 2. So you get to play a 25k Double Strike for 3 energy, and his auto activates saying, when you play this card, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 5 or less and KO it. That's pretty damn good. I mean, granted, you think, okay, you have to have 3 Namekians already in play to be able to activate his Bond ability. But it's really not that hard. When you swarm as much as this deck does, especially with the barrier Piccolos that can't be targeted by stuff, it's so easy to get this card out via his Bond ability. And like I said, 3 energy for a 25k Double Strike is nothing to scoff at when he also gets to blow up a card 5 or less. And you're going to end up playing him well before you get to the situation where your opponent's going to have a card with more than 5 energy costs, for the most part. Up next, we ran 2 Master Saiyan the Mysterious Warrior, one of the best Overwhelm cards that we have still, in my opinion. I ran him, and we ran another... The reason we ran Overwhelm in this deck is because with as much discarding as the deck does with Planet Namek and all the comboing you're going to do and playing extra cards, it fills up the drop area pretty fast for Warp. And Master Saiyan is just one of the best ones to do to be able to play. I mean, 1 energy and you get a double strike attacker that blows up numerous battle cards. And if you can play it early enough, you can wipe out, 4 or 5 battle cards in one go, which we did end up doing at one point. Up next, we have 2 Times Choice Supreme Kai of Time. She works a lot like Time Patrol Trunks, and the reason we ran her over Time Patrol is because I would rather get to my battle cards with this deck specifically than I would some of the extra cards. So she's a 3-drop 15k for Overwhelm 3, just like Time Patrol. The only difference is when you play this card using Overwhelm, instead of looking at the top 2, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, but you have to choose 1 battle card among them and then place the remaining cards in the bottom of the deck. So you can't place 1 on top like you can with Trunks, and you can't search a battle card or an extra card, but you can search 1 more card down, and 9 times out of 10 it's helpful. I think there was maybe 1 time that I was like, damn, I kind of wish I could get this battle card, but overall I think the choice between running her or running Time Patrol really depends on the deck and which of the 2 variants of cards you would rather get to draw into. Then we ran 4 of our super combo, Namekian duo Sayonal. Generic super combo card, except you can combo him at 5 or less life instead of 4 to get the draw in the 10k combo. You could also swap him out for the new Helis card that we get in the Ultimate box if you were running the Universe 7 Piccolo leader, since he is a god. But with as much as this deck thins itself, I think getting to draw the extra cards off your super combo might actually cause you to deck out in the end. But getting to search Sayonal via Planet Namek, via Dende, all those cards, and then being able to play him on 5 life is actually really good. I've used it several times to keep some of my Piccolo Juniors and some of my Nails alive so I can continue to get their draw effects on the next turn. Then we've got our field card, Planet Namek. Of course, we ran 4 of these. The card could be a bit better. It does suck that you play it for 1 energy, you get nothing out of it. And then to use its ability, you have to use 1 of your green energy and choose a card in your hand and place it in the drop area. That's kind of steep, especially compared to like every other field card. And then you do get to look at top 5 cards of your deck and choose 1 Namekian with an energy cost of 2 or less and put it into play, which is nice. But I feel like you should at least get something for playing it, because you either play it on turn 1 and pass, or you have to wait until turn 2 to play it and hope that you end up having a Dende to play with your other energy so that you can use any of the bond abilities. Unless you get a Purina, then he doesn't give a shit because he doesn't have bond. Then we have probably one of my favorite cards of the deck, one of the most underrated cards in the game right now, Father-Son Kamehameha. Let it out, Gohan! Do it now! It's actually an extra card that came in Union Force Set 2, and especially in a deck like this, or even in Androids, I think this is one of the most important extra cards that you can play. It's 1 green energy, and you choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards with the energy cost larger than or equal to the amount of energy, and KO it. That is big, especially because, for example, you could hit cards that have evolved, you can hit cards that have unioned, and it's a 1-cost KO anything card. I actually played against an opponent where this card is literally what saved me, because he was playing the 7-drop Mira, which was just would have fucked my face otherwise. All I had to do was just negate his attacks, and then next turn, Father-Son Kamehameha, and 1 energy, and I got rid of a 7-drop that the Piccolo Jr. leader can't handle because he can only hit 5 or less. Severely underrated card. If you run green, I think you should main deck it if you have the space, or at the very least side deck it for people that do play those really big, heavy-hitting battle cards. The last card in the deck we played was 4 full power energy. I know what you're thinking. Why are you not playing Sacrifice? Well, unfortunately, right now, the meta is full of people running aggro 1-drops. Whether it be Kaba, whether it be Trunks, Gohan, Bardock. There's so many 1-drops that you can hit with this ability to just blow up. And Sacrifice isn't really needed. The only thing Sacrifice will do is to let you play it if you're tapped out. But full power energy just getting to blow shit up is too good not to run. However, if you come across an opponent that is not running one of the aggro turbo flute decks, and they're not running those 1-drops that you really want to blow up, then of course we side in for Sacrifice for the full power energy. It's just, overall, it's a nice little card. Like I said, you can play it if you're tapped out, you just take a life card, and I've even used this just to avoid crit damage. It's like, well, I'm going to take the damage anyways, I may as well just pay it, negate the attack, and draw the card that they were going to, crit away from my life. But if they don't run a lot of 1-drops, full power energy isn't doing you jack shit. So Sacrifice is a better card. If you are tapped out, then you can play it if you can afford to take the life. Whereas full power energy, whether you're tapped out, it wouldn't matter because you couldn't play it anyways. Up next in the side deck, we ran one of my favorites from Set 4, and arguably, in my opinion, one of the better Overrealm cards that we have. Burst Energy Super Saiyan Bardock. He's got an Overrealm cost of 4. You play him for 1 energy, and he's got 20,000 power. But when you play this card using Overrealm, it gains plus 10,000 for the duration of the turn and can attack battle cards in active mode. So for those pesky little battle cards that either you want to sit there and active and not get attacked, or the cards that have barrier and they're just there waiting to evolve into shit. I'm looking at you, Brienne. Bardock puts an end to that real quick and just comes out 30k. They're going to have to combo a lot to keep it alive, and if they do, then that's a win for you, and if they don't, it dies. So either way, you come out on top. It's a fantastic Overrealm card, and even so, even without attacking a battle card in active mode, I used it during one of my games. I think it was during round 3, during the final round. I used it to just play it for my last energy. He's got 30,000 power regardless, and you just dump your entire hand and just vomit it all into one combo. Then to go along with the Piccolo Namekian theme, we side decked 4 Ready to Strike Piccolo. This was one of my favorite cards from Set 2. There just wasn't really a way to utilize it. Unfortunately, with him being a 3-drop, you can't take advantage of him via Planet Namek, so you would have to hard cast him for 3. But he's a 15k blocker, and at the end of your opponent's turn, your opponent has to choose cards from their hand until there are only 6 remaining and place the rest of them in the drop area. So if they have a lot of card advantage in hand, they either are going to have to combo it all away, find a way to kill him, or just decide to pitch it away. And either way, that helps you out a bit. It does suck because you would have to cast him, you would have to hard cast him for 3 energy. But it's not that hard to keep him alive, especially if you leave him in active mode. You could also play him via the last 3 cards that we had in our side deck. Fully Trained Super Saiyan Son Gohan.
This should be good.
I actually had 4 in the side deck, but I had to take 1 out to accommodate other things. And with him being a 4 cost, you're not going to play him very early on anyways. But he's a 20,000 with Double Strike, and when you play this card, you can choose up to 1 Piccolo with an energy of 3 or less from your deck and play it. So you could play Ready to Strike Piccolo if you wanted to get that blocker out, or you could even just get out any of the other Piccolos in your deck. The only Piccolo we ran that's not Piccolo Jr. That qualify would probably be the 2-drop with barrier. So I would, of course, choose Ready to Strike Piccolo, but I don't even think I sided him in. I think I sided in Ready to Strike Piccolo only against 1 opponent, and that was the opponent running Victory Strike Frieza. Round 1, we got to play against our good friend Tracy. Finally, haven't got to play against him in a tournament since the very first tournament he ever played in. And he was running Pan GT Really not a hard matchup for this deck, especially since we can keep up with card advantage with Pan and even greatly surpass it just because of all the draw power that's in this deck. And between the Trunks and the Kabbas, full power energy can just blow them up pretty easily and get them out of the way. So we ended up taking round 1 2-0. Round 2 we ended up playing against Victory Strike Frieza. I expected that to go a lot worse than it did. I was really dreading that as soon as I knew what I was playing. But this deck, like I've said probably about 4 or 5 times in this video, it generates so much card advantage that even just swarming with a bunch of little attackers is enough to force him, because Victory Strike doesn't want to awaken until their turn, so they can use that energy to be able to play the 5-drop Goku to then evolve it and then evolve it into the Victory Strike. But if you're just beating down and whittling away your opponent, attack after attack after attack, and drawing off of most of those attacks, then eventually they're going to have to combo away their hand, combo away their resources, and you even force them to self-awaken and waste that energy on tap on your turn so that they don't have it on their turn to play their stupid shenanigans. We took game 1 with a bit of a struggle. Game 2, he ended up siding out all the Victory Strike stuff, and I don't know if he sided in the Frieza or didn't run the Frieza at all, but he actually attacked us. Game 1, he went with the strategy of not attacking at all, and so we didn't really get a whole lot of card advantage from life, and we don't main deck anything that can take damage to ourselves. So we didn't have the ability to use our super combos, but we didn't really need them either. Whereas game 2, he actually switched to a different playstyle and attacked with his battle cards and his leader, which gave us the cards from our life. It also gave us the cards. It also gave us the ability to play our super combo to further draw cards, and we ended up taking that one a little easier than game 1, due to him also, giving us cards from life and letting us use our super combos. And then round 3, we played against our God Squad teammate running. What do we even call it? I don't know what to call it. I call it M&M's just for shits and giggles, but it was set 3 Mira running the set 4 Mira engine and Universe 2 Maidens. I hate those things. But if you manage to kill the Rebrianne when it comes out, then it pretty much shuts his play down, because he has to play the Brienne turn 2, the Rebrianne turn 3, so that he can transformation turn 4. But if you manage to kill it with, say, that Bardock that attacks battle cards in active mode, then it pretty much shuts down that strategy, puts him back an entire turn, which is too far to be bothering with, as Rebrianne by herself is really not that big a deal. So that forced him to switch to playing the Union Absorb Mira strategy, which I'm not a fan of it. The discard 3 is not a super big deal. It sucks. But the biggest thing is the fact that he gains 5,000 for every card in his warp. That's a big-ass beater. And he has Double Strike, so he's going to hurt you for some good damage. And you're not comboing out of it. Luckily, though, we did, we had negates. And we did side the full power energies out, because the only 1-drop he ran was Zarbuto, which is no reason to blow that up at all. And so the sacrifices really came in handy to just be able to play it when I was tapped out. I took game 1. Game 2, he ended up getting it in time. So at the end of the final round, we were in second place due to that draw. We probably would have been in second place anyways, because our round 1 opponent did drop. And so that would have hurt our standing regardless. We did play out game 3 after turns had ended, though, and we took game 3, so we would have went undefeated, which makes me extremely happy, because then it means that this deck can and did outperform even what I had expected it to, And considering how long we all waited for them to give us Piccolo support, shy of one Piccolo in each set, it really made me happy to see how well Piccolo and his fellow Namekians can do in the current format. But if you guys enjoyed this video, if you like the deck profile, hit that like button down below for us. You know, we appreciate the support. We appreciate all of our subscribers. We hit 900 subs today. 100 more to go, and we'll get that partnership back. It means so much to me that you guys have been supporting us along this great journey that we've been on. Feel free to let me know in the comments below what you think of the deck, any suggestions that you might have for it, or any questions regarding why we played any of the cards that we played. If you've had any success with either of the Piccolo leaders, or you have any different builds, feel free to let me know as well. We'd be more than happy to sit and have a discussion about the different play styles of each of the decks and figure out what would be the best way to run Namekians in the current format. But with that, we're going to go ahead and get the frig out of here now, and we will see you guys in the next video.
I have won!